the pain like.
Hey guys, dearyoongi here and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be discussing the story of K-pop girl group Kiss of Life and where it all went wrong. I know this may feel like old news to some people by now, but this whole ordeal is still very much ongoing and doesn't seem to be blowing over anytime soon. So we'll first start by introducing the group and their rise to fame, their now infamous controversy, the fallout and aftermath, and critically, what this could now mean for the future of the group. Okay, so without further ado, let's get started. First of all, let's introduce Kiss of Life and their success so far until it all started to go wrong. Kiss of Life is a 4-member K-pop girl group under S2 Entertainment, consisting of members Julie, Natty, Belle, and Hanul. They officially debuted back in July 2023, but had garnered lots of attention even prior to this through their pre-debut projects, where each member released a solo track. Since the group's debut in July 2023, they formally came back once also in 2023, 3 times in 2024, and are currently planning a 2025 comeback. One key factor that has also helped the group grow so much within their short time promoting so far is their versatility. Fans really like that this group came from a variety of backgrounds. Julie and Belle are both from the USA, Hawaii, and Washington respectively. Natty is from Thailand, and Hanul is from Korea. Remember this information for later. Just to focus in slightly more on their success story so far, I think 2024 was undoubtedly their best year yet. The B-side from their October 2024 album Lose Yourself, titled Igloo, pretty much went viral on social media, with so many K-pop idols taking part in the dance challenge. The music video for Get Loud, which was the title track on that album, at the time of me speaking has 13 million views on YouTube. A performance the girls did of the B-side Igloo has 36 million views. But this song isn't the only place the girls saw success in 2024. The group's impact was also being noticed elsewhere, in both the industry and beyond. To name a few of the girls' achievements in 2024, in February, Maybelline New York announced Kiss of Life as its new brand ambassadors. The girls were mentioned in Teen Vogue's 12 girl groups to watch in 2024. The girls took home the Best Artist Award and Best Musician Award at the Asia Artist Awards. Other K-pop artists began to take notice and interest in working with the girls. Julie and Natty featured on Mark of GOT7's solo song Superpower. Julie featured on Twice member Nayeon's solo track Magic, and Natty featured on J Park's song Taxi Blur, also in 2024, just to name a few. The girls also wrapped up 2024 with their first US tour titled Kiss Road. It was a very busy year for the girls, with Natty even being listed as the female K-pop idol with the most schedules in 2024. I believe it was 583 in total. Well done if you remember that from my last video. Okay, I think you guys get the point. Things seem to be nothing but positive for the girls, who kicked off 2025 with the European leg of their Kiss Road tour. But things would very quickly go downhill in a way that nobody expected, so let's discuss what exactly the controversy that unfolded next was. On the 2nd of April 2025, the Kiss of Life members held a live stream to celebrate member Julie's 25th birthday. But this wasn't any ordinary live stream, this one had a theme, which was old school hip-hop vibes. Before we actually get into the live stream itself, I think it's very important to note that member Belle actually took to messaging platform Bubble before the live took place, sending this message to fans. Promise you won't leave the fandom after watching it. This created a lot of intrigue and buzz as to what actually would be happening in the live stream and why she would feel the need to say that. But that question was very quickly answered. And honestly guys, I really don't know where to start with what actually happened in this live. The whole thing is still up on YouTube, not from the company. It was re-uploaded by a viewer. If you want to watch the whole thing yourself, but if you don't want to, that's also very understandable because it was grossly insensitive. I watched it so you don't have to. For the sake of this video, let's just run through the live's content, if we can even call it that. So the live opens with the girls sitting there acting, I guess. They're all dressed in what appears to be very stereotypical cosplay of what they think black people look like, but also some of their styling choices could be interpreted as insulting to the Latinx community too. They start speaking in accents which again came right from a stereotype, with Belle saying it's her bestie's birthday. Julie then proceeds to sing In the Club by 50 Cent. You know the one where he says we're gonna party like it's your birthday? Belle joins in. The whole time here the girls seem to be acting and asking each each other who they are. Belle says her name is, I'll take a big deep breath before I say this, Lil Taco Bell. Can't believe I just had to repeat that. Natty is introduced as NT. Julie is also known as Baby Julie, and Hanul goes by Bob Sky, and then they stick to these names for the rest of the live. The girls talk about how rich NT, aka Natty, is while she stands up and shows off all her chains, and then Belle does the same. They're all eating, and Bob Sky, shows off the braids on the side of her head. But even when simply introducing the food, Julie does this again with the accent. In their amazing acting debut in this live, the girls fake argue about Belle flirting with Julie's boyfriend. Again, of course, don't forget they're in the accents. The girls then discuss how for this live they're going with Julie's wishes as the birthday girl for what sort of concept she wanted this live to be, even showing the camera some of the reference photos they had come up with to come to the conclusion of everything we're seeing in this live and to achieve that old school hip hop vibe they speak of. Natty holds up the phone with a picture of 3 black men they used as an inspo photo and says, "It's me." The girls carry on eating and chatting. As the live goes on, they start to talk about sorts of gestures that come out when you rap, all demonstrating examples of rap gestures. At one point later in the live, when I thought things were calming down a little bit, Natty and Belle stand up and continue their acting. This time they're all loud and offended, using their fake accents to yell things like "who's that?" And even Julie, whose idea this whole thing was, remember, comments on the chaos of it all. The girls then later go on to try and make up a rap, telling a story about how Lil Taco Bell failed at a rap competition because they weren't very good, but then she proceeds to come up with a rap in which she tries to imitate a rapper anyway. The rest of the live mainly consists of the girls finishing eating, speaking in these accents, Belle, aka Lil Taco Bell, flirting with Natty's character NT. It's time to end the live, so they're doing all sorts of poses, and when signing out, Julie kind of laughs and cringes while she says this was Julie's birthday live. And of course, they were not the only ones cringing. The fallout! Oh my god, where do we even begin? I mean, it goes without saying, right, that this was obviously not well received, because the entire live was full of offensive stereotypes and was so racially insensitive. I genuinely can't believe they thought even for a second that this would be a good idea, but we'll get into my thoughts on this whole situation later. The K-pop industry has never exactly been innocent when it comes to its representation of other cultures, and this is not the first time we have seen a group partake in something which would be deemed as cultural appropriation. However, compared to all those incidents of the past where perhaps an idol was something fans thought they shouldn't have or said words they shouldn't have, Kiss of Life's birthday live stream for Julie was on a whole nother level. When have you ever seen a K-pop group sit there for almost 40 minutes, dressing like, acting like, and behaving like outdated stereotypes we all thought we'd moved on from in the movies decades ago? The following day, the girls' label S2 Entertainment issued an apology, saying, "We sincerely apologize for using expressions and styles that followed certain racial stereotypes in the birthday content uploaded on the 2nd. We meant to express the atmosphere in a way that respects the culture. However, we failed to fully recognize how it might come across as reinforcing racial stereotypes. Apologizing again to anybody who was made to feel uncomfortable by the live, and promising to move forward with more respect for other cultures in future." The label probably hoped that this would be enough to put this controversy to bed, but it wasn't. Thousands of fans were still posting about the live on social media and expressing their disdain. By the 4th of April, it was estimated that the girls had lost a total of over 200,000 followers amongst their very global audience, and this number was only continuing to grow. So the following day, it was time for another apology statement. This time, it appeared to be a handwritten apology letter from the members, with each paragraph being written by a different member and entirely in English. I won't read the whole thing, but I'll put pictures of it on screen so you can get the idea. I don't want to sound too dismissive when I say this, I'm hoping this makes sense, but it was just the basic K-pop apology sort of content for me, if that makes sense. You know, group acknowledges that what they did was wrong, apologizes to the fans they hurt, promise not to do it again, says something about how they're going to continue to work to be better idols. You know, that sort of thing. It's basically just a longer version of what the company said in their statement, which they were hoping to be better received because it came to them from the artist directly. Would you be surprised if I said this apology was not well received? And this time it wasn't just fans who deemed the girls' apology unsatisfactory, it was also fellow K-pop idols. On the 6th of April, Black Swan member Fatu tweeted saying, "If you want to apologize to us black people, make sure you address us," explaining that this is not the first time this situation has happened. I'm sure she means within the K-pop industry in general and racial discrimination. From this point on, the girls did not issue another apology, and their team tried to go back to business as usual on social media. But by this point, the damage had already been done. And I don't know if it's just me, but could anybody else just sense an atmosphere in the girls' content on social media since this event? I followed the girls' Instagram before the live took place, and I could see a sort of shift in the vibe of their content after all this happened. Things kind of just felt awkward and off, and with every single post the girls made came many more comments from people still discussing the live stream, how unhappy fans are, and some even calling for their disbandment. And the fallout didn't just stop there. We're still experiencing it over a month later. Let's talk about what this controversy could mean for the girls' future, because what we're seeing at the moment doesn't currently look very good. I did not expect to be creating a video about this topic. Honestly, I didn't think I even wanted to. There is no excusing what the girls did, and they have a long way to go before they gain fans' trust back. We all knew that. I didn't really know what I could contribute to the conversation, but then something surprising happened recently. On the 17th of May, the organisers of KCON in LA issued a statement announcing that Kiss of Life would no longer be performing at this year's KCON LA. The statement read, "Regrettably, after careful consideration and thorough discussions exploring all avenues for participation, KCON and S2 Entertainment have mutually decided that Kiss of Life will no longer be participating in KCON LA 2025. The statement, of course, does not at all mention the girls' controversy from last month, but fans concluded that the girls' label and KCON had decided it was probably for the best to not have the girls go and perform in the USA at the moment, considering their controversy was an insult to their global fan base. The news of the girls' withdrawal from KCON was actually met with delight from a lot of people on social media. A lot of fans left replies saying it was the right decision, and that is not all. There has definitely been a shift in the way in which the girls are perceived on social media in general. In the past, news of Kiss of Life's members featuring in another artist's music would have been met with excitement. However, when the tracklist was revealed for Red Velvet's subunit Irene and Seulgi's comeback, and fans learned that one of their tracks was to feature Kiss of Life member Julie, fans were less than happy. I saw multiple tweets from people insisting that the girls' label SM Entertainment either remove the collaboration from the album or at least edit out Julie's parts before the track is released. Other fans were even asking why people are so eager to have the Kiss of Life members on their tracks anyway. This, of course, is the polar opposite to the attitude we were seeing prior to the controversy last month. It is really like fans view them in an entirely different light now, and it's not a good one. I think this might be the first time we are actually seeing the group receive consequences of their own actions for a more extended period of time when racial discrimination is coming into play, if that makes sense. In the past, when groups or idols were embroiled in similar sorts of controversies, of course they got rightfully critiqued and suffered a loss of fan support as a result of this. But they usually only seemed to have that go on for a short time before it blew over and people moved on to another issue. I think that's probably what Kiss of Life's label S2 Entertainment thought would happen here, but it hasn't yet, and it's been over a month. The thing about K-pop fans is that they don't exactly forget things quickly. Even if they appear to have forgiven sometimes, forgetting is a much harder thing to do. And in an industry where your image is literally everything, if this is really the one major thing that fans link to your image now, that can have extremely detrimental effects on the future of a group. Kiss of Life released a digital single on the 7th of May 2025. The music video for the track Live, Love, Laugh does have 1.2 million views at the moment, but this single for the most part is getting ignored by a wider audience who might have sometimes casually checked out their content. Since this and the girls' withdrawal from KCON LA 2025, their label have also started teasing a comeback for the girls, with their 4th mini album titled 224 set to be released on the 9th of June. They have only just started releasing teasers for this, so we won't look at the views on these too much, because we have to take into mind that of course the views on these could still climb. But as you might expect, a lot of fans are saying they don't really want this comeback and would much rather prefer the girls spend more time reflecting on their actions. Okay, it's time for the part of the video I have been particularly waiting for, and that is my thoughts on the whole situation and what I think is next for Kiss of Life. I think I've made it pretty clear throughout this video that I do not in any way condone the group's actions during this live. Like I said earlier, I did not expect to even be talking about this issue a month later, but I feel like I had to say something because it genuinely feels like the first time we are seeing a K-pop group who were culturally insensitive actually experience more repercussions of their actions, more than just a few angry comments following them forever. I don't believe the girls went into this with the ill intention to offend anybody, and I even thought that there were moments during the live where you could kind of see the regret bubbling up on Julie's face, almost as though there are points where she saw Natty and Belle going over the top with their acting and must have realised how badly this was going to come across, because there was no way people were going to see any of these stereotypes be put into practice and receive it well. Even Hanul too, I thought, looked uncomfortable at points during the live. We even had Belle asking her why she was being quiet or embarrassed. But regardless of any of this and what Kiss of Life's intentions were, none of that excuses the fact that what they did was wrong and they should be held accountable for how they hurt people. I really don't like these comments from people on social media saying it's not that deep and telling people to accept the apology and move on. It is not up to us to decide how other people feel about this and whether somebody chooses to accept the girls' apology and move on or not. That's totally up to them. I sincerely do feel for K-pop fans of colour. I don't know how many times we have to have these same conversations. Cultural sensitivity is so important in K-pop, especially when the audience is so global nowadays, and for a group like Kiss of Life, who themselves are pretty global and have a large portion of their fan base overseas, there is really no excuse for disrespecting other cultures in this way. 3/4 of the group themselves are from overseas. I think I said this in a different video a long time ago. I remember because I got my head bitten off for saying it in the comment section. But I personally do not believe that there is any excuse for racial insensitivity to this level in the big year of 2025. There is a clear difference between not knowing that something might offend somebody and doing something that you know is going to come across as offensive and doing it anyway. The girls themselves literally proved this, and that they know better by asking fans in advance not to leave the fandom after they saw the live. What do I see for the future of the group? Honestly, in my opinion, I think the label's currently having this thought process of pulling the girls out of KCON to limit their Western activities, instead plugging their resources into this comeback. I think S2 Entertainment wants to see how this comeback goes, how it is received by the girls' fans, both domestically, where they started to grow more popular last year, and overseas, where the girls' larger fan base is, and then they'll go from there. I think if this comeback performs well, then the label's hoping this whole thing will have been brushed over, and the girls can carry on growing in the same way they were previously. If this doesn't perform well, I think I see a hiatus perhaps coming, even if it's not one we're formally told about. Just a bit of give the fans to cool down and lie low time, if you know what I mean. But regardless of how Kiss of Life's upcoming release is received, I do think it is going to take a very long time for the girls to regain fans' trust. And if I'm being super honest, I have no idea how they could even do that. We all know full well that nobody knows how to hold a grudge better than a K-pop fan. It is going to be quite a difficult few months for the girls, that is for sure. But I do like this change that we're seeing in K-pop fans in the sense of holding people accountable. People always say they want idols to see what they did was wrong, but then they go back to kind of just pretending nothing happened after an apology was issued. I didn't want to spend too much of this video talking about hate comments the girls have been receiving because I think there's a very thin line between critique and hate. Of course, the girls should be getting critiqued properly, but I don't think they should be getting hate comments. But that is not what this video is about. This video is about what the girls did and accountability and what it will mean for their future. I hope they're using this time to reflect and learn the appropriate ways to speak about cultures you do enjoy and draw inspiration from in a more courteous way. Okay guys, and that was it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love to hear your thoughts on this topic down in the comments. What do you think is next for Kiss of Life? If you're new here, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to be the first to hear whenever I upload, and I'll see you next time. Bye guys!